Welcome back to Fresh Folks. I'm here with Mary Ann Leanhart Cross, and we're going to talk about how to maybe bring the outdoors inside to decorate your home. You just saw a segment on a beautiful prime rib dinner with Mattern's Meats, and so now, Mary Ann, you're going to give us some ideas on maybe how to decorate the tables really nicely.
And we have to do green because we spent that money on that great prime rib.
That's right.
Which is wonderful. And, you know, prime rib and having good prime rib and cooking it using that meat thermometer are real important. So we need to keep a table simple. And lots of times people will have a glass, could be a vase or a cylinder at home, or it could be small or could be larger. And if you've gone and cut that fresh Christmas tree, oftentimes you have extra on the bottom of that tree.
Right.
And you might make a wreath out of it, but you could also just take, and I've got one cut here already, and you'll take and remove some of nature's things that maybe aren't quite as pretty as you would like them. And having a sharp tool really is helpful. So you could put a couple of those in the center. And then you could just nestle pine cones in amongst that. And they don't all have to sit up. You can just let them lay down. You could add a red candle to it or whatever. But you could also just let it be like that.
Very natural.
Just very natural, and just it's just pretty. But you could also take these, since we've got this cylinder, and we're going to cut some more of these. This is also a great one, and I didn't have time this morning to get some holly, but my favorite is to do this with holly. Make sure the cylinder's clean.
Could you mix the two?
You can mix the two, very much so, and then just fill it with water. If you had some of those glass, like the pearls, the marbles or whatever, you could put those in the bottom. And then so you can keep this, and it doesn't have to be a name brand bleach. We want to put just a spot, just like, you know, half a teaspoon of bleach.
And what does that do?
It keeps the pine fresh, and it keeps it from getting slimy. So now I'm going to move this over so it's a little bit easier for us to reach. Put that cylinder, and what I'm trying to do, I love candles, but sometimes we don't want to have candles and leave them unattended.
Right.
And look at how much more attractive we have made this. We need another bowl to put over here, just by adding a cylinder. Even if you only have a glass, Julie.
Right.
A big tall glass, or do a collection of all the different kinds of glasses that you might have. You might, the stemmed glasses.
Take different heights maybe of simple glasses and put a little pine in there, and or the stems with some water. It'd be really pretty.
Yeah, and so, you know, there you've got kind of a natural centerpiece. You've got water, which is nature. You've got the pine cones going.
Not only that, the scent. I love the smell of pine, and it would just really make a beautiful aroma in the room as well.
So speaking of scent, this is not going to stay forever. It will dry, and you need to remember that some people might be allergic to pine as it dries more than when it's first fresh, so that might be a consideration. But and the pine cones, I don't know, and maybe there's a naturalist that could tell us, the pine cones seem to be abundant on the trees this year. So does that mean it's because we had a lot of rain? Does that mean it's going to be a rough winter? I don't know, but there's lots of pine cones.
Let's hope it means we had a lot of rain.
So whether it's some of the sites in our magazine, or you just go in your neighborhood or at a school or the county parks, take a bag and gather pine cones. And you'll find different kinds of pine cones. But put a brown paper bag on a low oven, like 200, on a cookie sheet, and then just set the pine cones in there. And that way they'll open up, and all the little critters that might be in them will crawl out. And you'll also get rid of the sap. Well, there's going to be insects in them because that's a great place to live. So that way you get rid of it. But so, you know, warm them up, and that way you'll get the pine cones to open up. Now, these have just been left to dry, and these still have the sap in them. And these are probably 10, 12 years old, if not older. So if I put these in the oven now, I would still get sap.
Really?
Yeah, pine cones are pretty incredible.
I actually have about 10 pine trees across the back of my yard, and I get a lot of beautiful cones every year. And it is, you're right, there is a lot of pine cones on the ground this year.
Yeah. And another thing you can do with kids is warm up some fat of some kind, you know, whether vegetable fat, I don't care what, lard, melt it, dip the pine cones in it, and then roll them in birdseed,
Oh.
and then put a hanger on them and hang them outside on the trees, and you've got natural bird feeders, and it's just really neat to watch the birds hanging on there and eating the seeds and eating the fat and having a good time. That's a great one to do with kids, because
That is a great idea.
another thing is to just take a basket like we have here and just take some lights, and these are clusters of lights, but we're going to borrow these pine cones back and
Sure.
just throw them in there, and then you'd plug it in, and it's just really, really pretty.
I like how you clustered the lights together in groupings.
And they'll make a statement that way. Okay, something that's a lot of fun is to take pine cones, and you have to allow some time, but take a bowl and pour bleach, just store-bought generic bleach, straight bleach. Put the pine cones in there overnight, and this pine cone was once this pine cone.
Wow.
Now, the reason for doing is I did it to get it to bleach and make it that golden color.
Right.
It will eventually, as it dries, which will take 2 weeks, it'll end up popping back out like this. But that bleach caused that sap to come out, and I'm thinking this is really neat because it almost looks like snow.
Yeah.
And so here we have a larger one that looks like a tree, and they're soft. If you feel it right now, it is soft,
Right.
and you cannot speed the drying. Don't think,
Right.
okay, I'm going to turn on my oven, because number one, you'll have the fumes, but it will disintegrate from the bleach. Or here's a different kind of pine cone, and look at the color that I've got going on here.
Right. It's almost like white on one side and brown on the other. I like that. They also, folks, if you could see them up close, they almost look a little bit of glittery, too.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But it's just, and once you've had the bowl of bleach and they're covered, the bleach has been exhausted. You can't reuse it.
Okay.
So,
get
you
rid of
know,
the bleach.
get a couple gallons of bleach, get a big pan, spread them out, do it, and let them dry. But you could enjoy them this year. You know, well, I've got more than 2 weeks, but you just have to let them dry naturally.
Let's do the cards really quick, because I want to make sure we get that in before we're out of time.
Lots of times people keep their Christmas cards, and this is a great way to frame. Just buy an inexpensive frame and put this in a frame, and you can send it on your mantle, on a table, or whatever. But you can also take decorative scissors, and this is a great one to let the kids do. And on this card, I can just go through and I can first cut out the tree, and I can turn that into a gift tag as is, and just write on the back of it. Or some of the areas where it's still together, I can go and just make more proper, according to some people, it's name tags.
But I like it because now you have a little folded book. Almost.
You have a folded book.
Right.
So recycling, and again, just the staying green, an inexpensive pair of the scissors that don't have the straight edge on them, so that they can cut. Also, you can take a card, and these were all gift cards that one of the extension homemakers, Barb Jewett, made it, recycled them. We have a template, and we'll put it on our extension office website so they can go to Fresh at Home and get it. But there's a pattern, and you'll cut it out, score it, and then once it's scored, it's just a matter of folding it.
Folding it on the lines.
Folding it on the lines. So you could take this and you could put cookies in it, or candy, gift cards, or whatever.
Gift card, I was thinking, yeah.
But it's a great one for the kids. So that's one way to do that. One of the last things when we're talking about going green is taking apples. And when we're doing nature things, it's always 3. So you could take an apple with a core, and if you don't have a core, you could do it a little bit with a paring knife, but it'd take a little bit longer time. And you'd hollow that out, and then take your apple.
It smells good already.
And put candles in it. So we could go back over to this.
Oh, and you could put one on each side.
You could put one on each side. Now you might want to put a little plate that you'd camouflage, or put it in a custard cup. Might want to use a shorter. My idea was just to show people, you know, you don't have to go buy a candlestick. You can also do it pretty well with an orange. Just don't go all the way through with an orange. And when you use an orange, you really get good flavor going. So I guess I'm just saying to people, put your thinking hat on, go outside, get some great exercise, and come in, and then you're going to have some more fun projects to do.
And you know what, with the economic things the way they are here in Elkhart County, this is a great way to have a beautiful home for the holiday, and it really wouldn't have to cost you a thing if you can go out and find some greens in a neighbor's yard or along the roadside.
Right. And many of the places that do Christmas trees have the bottoms where they've cut off, and they'll give you those.
Right.
So
I know you have a great book that the folks can maybe pick up here or get ideas off your website real quick. Let's remind the folks what that is.
well, if they just go to the Fresh website, we're going to link it to there, and they can come there and get it, and that will be the easiest. Or if they go Purdue Elkhart County Extension Office, Google it, they'll get to us.
Okay, so don't forget to go to myfresh.tv, and you can get information on everything we've talked about today, folks. Thanks for joining us. This is Julie DiLorenzo. We'll be back in a moment after this short message.